Fatherhood is more than a title. The role carries meaning, demands sacrifice, and leaves a lasting imprint. Each of these fathers gave something up to be the best father they knew how to be and to leave a positive impression on their children. Great things, great things, great things. Welcome in to Words on a Higher Note, our space to reflect, reset, rise, and remember who we really are beneath the layers. I'm Jay Lynn, and I am glad you're here. Welcome back to part two of our What Fatherhood Really Required reflection. And if you haven't heard part one yet, I suggest you start there first to hear the foundation of this conversation. In part one, Mahdi, Lino, Ed, Daniel, and Aaron shared what fatherhood means to them, who shaped their understanding of it, and what they chose to repeat or unlearn. Let's listen in to the rest of the conversation.
What do you think being a present father meant in your day-to-day life? Lino, I'm gonna start with you. For the most part, we've been in our children's lives as they were growing up. Looking back now, what do you think being a present father meant in your day-to-day life?
In my past day-to-day life, right? So that's what you were asking, or what my definition of the present father as I'm raising, as they growing up.
You answer however that
Okay.
that resonates for you.
All right. Okay. Um, involved, available, supportive. That's during in vacations, trying to talk to them, trying to be involved in PTA. That was my definition as a young father. Present meant being available to listen, to kind of not real, but like about the difficulties of life and stress of life. That's what all that stuff was 30 years ago, was preparing you for, trying to prepare you for today, trying to prepare you, trying to make sense of what you were trying to convey to them all along. So that's or just tell them, like, yeah, you're proud of them, you're proud of them, you observe what they're doing, you see how they're going out there, swinging, taking the swings every day, and co-signing what, you're doing right, stay on course, everything like that. So kind of bridging both. I would say present was being the man of the house and always getting it done. And now just being informative, or being, just let them know, hey, you're doing fine. Hey, yeah, you're doing what you're supposed to do. Not berating or not talking too much, and then that's not how it is anymore. It's how it is now. Just kind of what I thought, but kind of knowing that you're a phone call away, knowing that you're there, knowing that you're listening. You may be on the phone with mom, you ain't talking to me, but that you're listening, that you're now they don't want to fail me. They don't want me disappointing them. Them disappointing me. I'm sorry. They don't want to send that message to me. Like, he's told us, he's taught us, he's trained us. Still around. Now I have to do my part. That message is starting to, or is now, at the forefront. So, yeah. I thought present meant get it done. And always being on the side, being on our lines and getting in the game. Silent, sometimes staying in the game.
Okay. Yes. Mahdi, what about for you?
Well, I'd be totally honest with you. I'm enjoying listening to you, brothers. because it gives me an opportunity to step back and reflect on my past as being a parent, as being a father, where I never really took the time to even stop and consider it, because being the individual that always had my foot on the gas, you know, um, it it gives me an opportunity to now sit back and reflect and take it easy. Um, I had an experience like that just happened last week. One of my boys graduated high school. Two of my grandkids graduated high school all at the same time, and now when I look back, I was able to get into a car. I didn't have to worry about driving, gas, location, parking spot. I didn't have to worry about none of that stuff because my sons was taking care of all of that. But for me now to look back then on my day-to-day life, man, I was Superman. I was that dude. You know what I'm saying? If the lights went out, if there was something that needed to get done, baby needed diapers, we want pizza, you know what I'm saying? You needed an extra hand in spades. I was the guy, I played Uno. I was in the middle of the floor wrestling with everybody. I was the guy, I'd get off of work. I remember my wife did not drive. My wife did not drive. I worked 6 days straight, 6 days straight. And I lived in upstate New York. I lived in Binghamton and I worked in Massachusetts. And I used to take Interstate 90. I used to go to 220 and the 440. I used to drive 220 miles one way and then have to drive another 220 come back. And I only had one day to take them to the doctors, do grocery shopping, and blah 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 blah. Get back on the road and drive back to work again. I was working at the U.S. Postal Service at the time, and in retrospect, Superman, straight up Superman. That's what I have to call it, man. That's what it meant to me in my day-to-day life. I could not stop. I could not take my foot off the pedal because I didn't know what the consequences was going to be. See, I'm big about consequences. And if it's falling on me and I'm that dude, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I was encouraging, step up. Come on, somebody else go out there and make that, help out. You know what I'm saying? But it was never like that. And I never complained. That's the thing. I always met that opportunity and that circumstance with a smile. So now when they see me, it's like they understand the sacrifice because they out there doing it now themselves. So Superman.
Okay. Okay. Daniel, what about for you?
I'm presently I'm done. I'm not, and I don't mean that in a negative. I mean, my daughter's 30, my son is 27. Presently, I've gotten you to this point. Right now, I'm a support system. The heavy lifting was in the beginning. And if my son is not in jail, he's not on drugs, he's not out of his mind, he's good. I've met my obligations. I've beaten the pundits' predictions. My daughter is not, got 8 kids, this, that, and you're running around with 3 different boyfriends. That's not her story. I'm good. Now I'm a support system. I'm a support system, right? But I should not be stressed at this point. That already happened, So that's what parenting means for me in this dispensation of time, in the present.
Okay. What about you, Aaron?
Um, I made sacrifices, when he was growing up. When he was born, I worked at Bear Stearns and I traveled a lot. Being an account manager, I traveled all over the country. And one night, I went to pick him up and he started crying. He didn't know who I was, and in conjunction with the traveling, I was on the corporate basketball team, corporate softball team. So I'm really like all over the place. So I decided to stop. I said, you know what, I can't, my son has to come first. So I think with that sacrifice, you know, I'm reaping the benefits of it now because we're close. You know, um, we I still look forward to hanging out with him. He looks forward to hanging out with me, and
you know, I think, like Daniel said, he's not a crackhead. He doesn't have, kids all over the place, and more importantly, he doesn't have my demons. So I'm good. I think I've done a decent job, and like James, I can be a support system. But in terms of anything else, this is where you have to step up your game. So I think I'm good. And gentlemen, unfortunately, I have to be in Queens by 7 o'clock, so I have to jump. All right.
Nice seeing you.
Same here, guys.
Yes.
Hey, next one, sign me up. This is I enjoy hearing the commonalities, because there's more commonalities than anything else.
Mhm.
But yeah, so
Absolutely.
yeah. All right, gentlemen, everybody have a good Saturday. What's left of it? I'm going to volunteer to do some other stuff.
All right,
Good
brother. Take
seeing
care.
you again.
All right, guys. All righty. Bye bye.
All right, be easy, man.
So I'm gonna answer this question. Being present, this is what it meant to me. I was divorced, paying $4,500 a month in child support. That was my child support.
Wow.
And I had gotten to a place where initially, now I was living back in New York. My kids are living in South Jersey. It's an hour and a half away. They live right outside of Philly. It got to a place where I was driving down, but then after a while, as I got older, I wasn't driving down anymore. I was putting them on the bus and meeting them at Port Authority when I got off the bus. So I'm thinking home is good. A good friend of mine said, Eddie, come go get your kids because their mother has them not live. She's not keeping a roof over their head, and they're not living in the same place.
Mm.
And I'm really saying, what the F do you mean when you getting 4,500? You don't even have to work. Like that's what it is. So long story short, I made a plan. I moved back to South Jersey, and fast forward, I wanted to get in custody of my kids. And for me, that's what being a father meant. It meant doing. Now, I was divorced. I was enjoying my singlehood, my divorce life. When my kids weren't there, we'll keep it, I was going to places in the Caribbean where men go to enjoy themselves. I was enjoying life. But when I got the word that this is what was going on, even though I'm paying support on a regular basis, that had to stop. That like there was no transition. It was put a plan in action right now so that I could go and get them. And to me, that's what fatherhood means. It meant that at some point I'm totally responsible. Now I got a 31-year-old who's married with his own family. So it's advisor when he needs it. They're 26-year-olds. She just graduated law school a couple of weeks ago. She's about to move into her own apartment. She's going to be in Brooklyn. And I got a 19-year-old who just completed her freshman year in college. So in her case, I'm more involved from a dependent. The middle one, by the end of this year, I should be able to say like Daniel, I'm good. But it just meant being present. It meant doing whatever you need to do. And if I need to do something else, I expect to be more of an advisor. I am for my 31. He's like, Dad, no, no, I don't need you for anything. I said, okay, but no, I'm here. So that's really what it meant to me. I'm getting some last minute instruction. So we're going to transition to, there's a question that was submitted by everybody. So what we're going to do is we're going to transition and allow everybody to address the panel with their question. And I understand, Lino, you may need to go. So I was going to let you address yours first if that works for you.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Everything. What are children
So
like?
Lino,
Be everything is it's like a benchmark all along the way, and if they don't make it, they just what do they do? And then the rules change. So it's a lot of things. I can you got to grab society and say no. We're going to go back to certain things, and steer them to responsibility. Steer them to be strong-minded, responsible adults. And I could tell that a lot of you guys, everybody, I don't know how hard that was to do in today's environment. There's a lot that are just falling off, just falling to the wayside, because I don't know. I don't know where the bridge collapsed at. So, but they're they're lacking a lot of firm guidance, Christian beliefs, a strong sense of God, and I guess a strong, like a blueprint, just a blueprint that kind of manifests itself along the way. The rules don't change all the time. Things don't fall off all the time, and now you got to rewrite the script or put them in another direction. And then by the time they're 17, 18, they've had so many different paths. They don't know what. They're more confused. So a lot of the structures that we had, are not in place anymore. So I think of the day, they say, well, there's no place for the kids to go. Everything that's, and I'm driving in Virginia. I drive as a YMCA, and I'm like, whatever happened to the YMCA? Who had a track to run around. Now we don't. That's a job to do. Like, well, why did that go away? Why did it fall off? It's just nonsense. It's just, I don't know. Anyway, we're lacking a lot of structures, paths for our children.
okay, I definitely we appreciate your feedback. Would anybody like to weigh in on that question?
I think Daniel, touched on it earlier when he was explaining the dynamics of the gender, his conversation with his daughter, how he has to, be careful how he frames his conversations, not to dismiss his daughter, and the mere fact that even is a question in today's society is real, because just like his household, there are many, many, many households that don't have a male role model, a male model in the home. So it's like what the children are lacking today are identifiable models of what a parent is, because it's changing. Parents could be two men, parents could be two women, parents could be anything, a rock, a bird, they just call in stuff whatever they want. There's no rhyme or reason to anything out here, and it's being manifested in the mindsets and the behaviors and the morale of the children that are coming up today. We we cannot speak truth to power. I think it's intentional. They have taken men totally out of the game, where you can't even be a man out here, because if you are a man's man in today's society, you're too aggressive, you're too this, they want somebody that's not going to push back, that's not going to speak truth to power, that's not going to stand on anything, that's going to be a wet little lily, and whatever they say, you're going to do it, or you're going to lose your whatever. They're going to dangle something out there and you're going to lose it. And it's going to, these young people out here today, you can't even talk hard to them, because they'll just disintegrate into, I don't know what. It's a damn shame. What's lacking today? Men are lacking today. It's sad. It's sad. We can identify what women are, and to the point where women want to be a male role model. If you don't believe me, wait until Father's Day and look on your timeline of how many women are saying Happy Father's Day to other women. There's no men. The whole idea of what even
Okay.
a man is it's not even definable anymore. And I think it's intentional because real men are considered a threat, and the things
There's
that
no
real
man or no
men do
strong
are
man.
considered dangerous. Say again. I didn't hear what you said.
That wasn't
No, I said
that
no.
wasn't. I don't think that was part of the
Uh,
panel.
Well, yeah, I mean
Oh,
that's just what.
what'd you say, Lino?
I
no, I
don't think he
said
can
no
hear
man
you.
or
I
no
think there's a little
strong man.
delay.
Like that stand.
Yeah, it's lacking, and because of that, anything can go. Anything goes. Anything goes, and that's why you have the YNs that are out here right now. Because the whole role of the whole roles are being redefined, and it's I don't know, man. I don't know. It's I think a strong being able to speak truth to power and to stand on business and be responsible, to be honest, to be truthful, to find a man that doesn't lie, to find a man that doesn't stand for something. It's very rare. It's rare, and it's affecting the society. It's affecting humanity overall. Men don't even know what it is to be a man within themselves. So how are they going to be? They can be males. They can reproduce, but that doesn't make you a man. So it's like, and it's lacking, and women see it. They see that a man is missing. They see males, but they got males that they want. They have males out here that they can mold and manipulate to do what they want them to do. And it's just out here. It's a crazy world out here right now. I wouldn't want to be 17, 18, 19 years old right now, out here trying to navigate these
Okay.
waters.
Okay. Daniel, did you want to contribute to this,
Sure,
or did you want to just move on?
sure. Real briefly. So the question is, what do you believe children are lacking, right? I think we just need to be clear, because children and adults, we're different, right? We're not using the term children generically, right? So,
Correct.
from birth to whatever the legal cutoff age is, I think they're lacking proper parental supervision, no positive role model. They don't have a real sense of self. As a result, they have this false identity of self. Most certainly, they're lacking spirituality, the ability to tap into your own internal voices, those positive voices, that innate quality that every human being has, that positive force within every human being that must be developed. And we must teach our children how to tap into that. They're lacking that, right? Which prevents them from thinking independently, right? Which prevents them from thinking critically, which leads them to become sheep led by false shepherds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we teach our children how to
Mm-hmm.
be critical analytical thinkers, then they cannot be influenced by an influencer. I find it extraordinary that we're in a day and time that somebody can be bullied via social media. I've been bullied like in the schoolyard with the guy in front of my face. So it took me a while to realize, wait a minute, how is it that you on the screen, this person is 400 miles away, and you are being influenced by this person to the degree that
Shook.
you need to
They
you
out
need
here
to
getting shook.
I'm like, wow, what's going on here? So to me, that lets me know that this individual is lacking a
Mm-hmm.
real sense of self. He who controls the diameter of your thinking will master the circumference of your activity. If these
Mm-hmm.
individuals are allowed to get into your head and begin to shape your identity, teach you who you should be, then you will always depend on something or someone other than yourself to define your destiny. I self am Lord and Master. I'll just leave it
Okay.
at that.
So I understand that Lino has to leave. Oh, he left. So, so gentlemen, I actually have a contrarian view to how you what you brothers believe.
Okay.
Um, my thought is they're not lacking anything, right? Because my thought is I'm a better parent than what my parents are. My mother was a good parent. I was able to take what she gave me as a foundation, and I'm not talking in the. Maybe I should think about it in the generic. I'm thinking about it in my lineage, and maybe that's maybe I'm off from that perspective. I looked at it as my mother was a great parent. My father tried, but my mother was a great parent. I feel like I built on that. I feel like I'm smarter, I'm more intelligent, and I have her foundation. So, and I feel like my children are going to be better parents than I was because of just the advancements. Now, this may not, it may not be fair for me because the statement is, what do we believe children? So, in the generic, maybe we can debate whether that applies or not, and
Right,
I
right.
respect that.
Mm-mm.
But I'm going to be honest with you. I started this panel with 5 men. Two of them are still present. One of them's got 17 children, or however many children he got, right? So I'm kind of believing that your children are going to be more effective than what you was because of all that you poured into them, right? So I don't. That's just my personal. Yes, are there people who don't have that? Well, there were people who didn't have it in my generation, in my children's generation. But I kind of feel like as a society, as a community, we're advancing because there's men like you who are committed where my father didn't have that commitment. So I have a contrarian view. That's my particular view
No, it's not. I don't think
as it relates to that.
I don't think it's contrarian. It's a smart view, right? But I think the question is right. Um, do our children have greater opportunities today compared to when we were coming up? And the answer is yes. In my opinion, they have access to information. No one has to get on a bus and go downtown to the library anymore. You're walking around with a computer in your pocket. You have your AI, artificial intelligence. You're more technologically advanced than we were. You know, um, and as a result of the lack of knowledge that our children have, right? The technology is having an adverse effect on them. And let me just give you one anecdotal example.
Mhm.
There was a staff member on my job, very young person, right, who kept saying, when we were in conferences and meetings, and after the meeting, she would say, "Oh my God, this is the real world. This is the real world." And I didn't know what she was talking about when she kept saying that. And finally, I had a conversation with her. And her real world is being in a room with people and having a conversation with people face to face. She said, I was 5 years old and somebody gave me, I had a Facebook account at 5 years old. I grew up with social media from 5 years old to
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
25. They don't understand
mm-hmm,
that sitting in a room and talking with somebody is different than having a conversation on social media because you can
Mm.
pretend to be anybody you want.
Mhm.
Communication is nuance, and it created this level of anxiety in her where she was finding it extraordinarily difficult to cope in a room with people.
Mm.
So if somebody would have taught her the knowledge of yourself, that it's okay to be in a room with people and have conversation, that there's other ways of relating with people other than social media, they didn't balance the
mm-hmm.
technology with the human interaction.
Mm. Mm.
Okay. No, I could definitely respect that.
Yeah, I agree.
So the question was, what do we believe children are lacking? And it's it's things like that, things that we may not have had. Maybe I didn't answer the question as it was outlined, right? So I think our children are better off, but lacking.
And I did not see this question, what do you believe children are lacking today, because I did not take my children specifically in mind in answering that. I was looking at children in general. I was looking at the
Right, right,
society. I was
right,
looking at who my children are going to be interacting with,
right,
and
exactly.
my children's children,
Mhm.
who are they going to be
Right,
interacting with?
right.
You know, I because I know what my family is pouring into our lineage.
Mhm.
I'm well aware of the sacrifices and tremendous sacrifices that they are making and pouring into our children, our legacy. But these other children who they're going to have to encounter,
Right,
and these other human beings who, like your coworker, who didn't even, it's like overwhelming just being around real people. And it's wow, there's a whole society out here just like that. You know, people are talking about marrying their AI and all this other craziness, and
right, right,
I don't get,
right.
that aspect. From that's how I saw the question.
No, you're right.
What do I believe children are
Yes.
lacking today? They're lacking, yeah. Uh,
Yeah, not your children per se. I'm
no,
talking about the broader
yeah,
diaspora of children
yes,
on the planet. And
yeah, yeah,
interestingly enough, contrary to when we were coming up, the stigma was always the black family, the deterioration of the black family. But families in general,
yeah.
across all racial lines,
The
are just
human,
being
the
destroyed.
human family.
The human family, when you look at the drug epidemic in West Virginia, and white folks being on welfare, predominantly, you know you're saying to yourself, wait a minute, the social fabric across racial
Yeah,
descriptions, if you will, is on the decline. It's not
yeah,
necessarily the black family,
no,
so it's interesting because these children in this day and time, they don't relate to race the way you and I saw it 30, 40, 50 years ago. They grew up in a almost with a black president. You got to keep that in mind. So when you say
mhm,
racism, and their sense of history goes back to maybe, I don't know, Jay-Z's first album or something like that.
uh-huh.
Ice Cube is now the new Stokely Carmichael, and Snoop
They,
Dogg is the new
yeah,
Malcolm
yeah,
X. I'm like, wait a minute, what the because no one is teaching these folks the real history, dating back thousands and thousands of years. Their frame of reference in terms of the history goes back to Ice Cube and Snoop Dogg and
yeah,
Tupac.
yeah, yeah,
So, George J. Jackson
So,
and Dr. Ben and all these folks, they're just being erased
yeah.
from the lexicon of the historical discussion, which is
Struggle.
absolutely, yeah, it's
Black
crazy.
struggle is being erased. Black excellence is being erased. The whole consequence of Tulsa and Rosewood is being erased.
Yes.
And because of social media and the application of this technology,
Mhm.
it's removing the hard book of being able to open a book, read a paragraph, and write a synopsis of what you just read. It's wiping all of that away. So there's no real history is what you can think of it to be. And what they're thinking it is trying to change it to a whitewashed soft core. We were all kumbaya, we were all together, and if you do well, you do well on your own. And it's just not real. It's not real.
But if I teach you how to be a critical thinker, you're going to challenge that perspective and dig a
Yeah,
little deeper. That's
yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
so,
I
so I appreciate the arguments that have been said, and to be honest with you, I can't refute that. I just what I'm offering is that that's not the only defining. There are so my two older children have gone through HBCUs,
Okay.
right? And as a result of that, I'm seeing graduations with 250, 300 people
Mm,
who have a sense of African American pride, a sense of who they are. I'm
Yeah,
just saying. And now, so all I'm saying is that what I've just heard, that is a reality. I can't refute that. I my only statement is that that's not the only
No,
reality.
I understand that, but most people send their children to HBCUs so that they can get a sense of their history. That's the
And
whole
I
purpose.
Agree.
and I think children that
Totally
are
agree.
children that are graduating in high school with multiple cords and degrees and 500 and $600,000 in scholarships are not who I would consider children are lacking. This is not the aspect of lack that would come to my mind when I see that level of excellence. But I know that out of the canvas of children out there, that is a very small portion of children. They are very, very fortunate children who have parents who talk to them, who push them to educate themselves and be critical thinkers. And that's a very small portion, and that's
Okay.
it goes across all the hues. I don't care if it's Asian, African, or whatever, it's all the same, and but those are not the people
Okay.
who I'm referring to. I salute all the graduates, but I know that they are the minority of when we talk about the children. We have children who are growing up in war right now. We got children in Palestine and Lebanon and Gaza and all over in Mali and in Burkina Faso. Children
Right, right, right.
in
Okay, okay.
Sudan.
You're going
Children.
you're going global on us right now. We was trying
But
to
Yeah,
I'm
keep
yeah,
it
saying
yeah,
domestic.
yeah, yeah.
no. But understand. I have to go global because we're dealing with the internet.
Right.
We're not dealing with the days of you and I coming together and having to go to a library. It's
Mhm.
going to come to the point where there's going to be the yachts and the have nots. You know what I'm saying? If you want to travel, you're going to put on a VR headset because you're not going to be able to afford to go anywhere else. Because so the experiences that you're going to have, if you're going to have them real, it has to be on a global level. If you're talking about being able to be in a society, the jobs that we grew up having, the $400,000 jobs and the 7-figure job, them joints is going away. AI is taking those over. The robots got them jobs on lock. They're not going to need baggers any longer. You're not going to need. It's just changing. And if we don't understand that we're living in a global society now,
Right,
that
right.
and be able to have
That's
Mhm.
fair.
our own children adapt to that, we would be the ones
That's
lacking.
very fair. That's very fair. All right, we got two more questions, so I want to get to those next two questions. Well, actually, we got three questions because there's three of us left. So, my question is: knowing what you know now, what advice would you give yourself as a new father? Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give yourself as a new father? I'm going to take Lino's privileges and lead it off. Um, the advice I would give myself as a new father, having had this experience, listen, you do the best that you can. Your passion and your drive is going to propel you to be the best father that you can. Even in the midst of that, there's going to be a you didn't do. There will be a complaint of where you came short. And the reality is, you are going to come up short sometimes in some aspect of it. But that's all right. But just keep at it. You didn't have a blueprint. The title of your work, if you're passionate, if you're willing to learn, you will wind up doing a better job than you didn't. They ain't gonna be happy. You didn't do. I wish you didn't. Yeah, but Negro, you're successful and you got your own family now. So yeah, I know I came up short, but you know what? If me coming up short looks like you, I'm very sorry that I came up short, but I'll live with that. So be okay with the fact that you're not gonna get it perfect. Be passionate about it. Be committed to that, and you'll be fine as a father. That's the advice I would give myself.
No,
Anybody
that's
could
that's
chime in.
no. I would just simply add to that. Don't try to be perfect. Just make progress, right? And because if you try to be perfect, you're going to end up psychologically destroying yourself in many ways. Just try to make progress. Progress means to move forward according to a plan, and if that plan means to make sure that you are always gainfully employed and you are succeeding in that area, then that's your plan. Then that's fine. Whatever your plan is, stick to that plan.
Right,
Um,
right.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
I remember this question from the last time, and my answer would still be the same. Listen more, react less. Just listen
I
more.
remember that answer.
Just listen more and react less, because it'll save you a lot of frustration. You know, a lot of decisions was made because you wasn't listening. You were too busy trying to get your point out there. Listen, just listen, and don't react as much. Because not everybody's intention is to do you dirt. Some people are sincere. They just don't know. They thinking they doing the thing that's going to be a benefit to you. You know what I'm saying? But they not doing it spitefully. I was that guy. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, their intentions was good, but it was just for themselves, and then you gonna do me dirty. So I'm got my eye on you. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't like folks that much, and so I was real hard on people, and I reacted a lot, and it didn't fare well for a lot of people. The people ask me, like, what did you do when you was coming up? I was like, I worked in law enforcement. They said, well, you must have seen a lot. Yeah, I caused a lot. See, and had I had the opportunity to do it all over again, I'd listen more and react less.
Okay, okay. Daniel's question is, what is the hardest part of being a father? You want to take that first, Daniel? You wouldn't? Are you speaking?
Sorry.
We
Yeah,
can't
the
hear you.
hardest. I'm sorry. Yeah, for me, just being responsible. And because you know, even though you're in a partnership, right, and it takes two to develop that household, but you got to play your role. My wife and I made a decision a long time ago. That she wanted to stay with the children. We tried to use the daycare situation, and one day we picked up our daughter, and our daughter had a little scratch on her face, and she was just an infant at that time. And then I decided, okay, you know what, I'll work two jobs. You know what I'm saying, and you can watch the children. That was her
Mhm.
choice. So and that's just being responsible. Just being responsible. My goal was to make sure. Right now, I work in the human services field, where I have been working for the past 30 years. I work with individuals who are dealing with a variety of social and psychological issues, homeless families. We provide social services to anyone who needs services, mental health services, people who are currently experiencing homelessness, who are unhoused. I work with this population group, and I have been working with that group, for the past 30 years. I worked in a youth detention center, a residential treatment center for youth, and I'm currently working with homeless single men, homeless single women, homeless families. My capacity is the director of security, compliance, and training. I kind of elevated to that position, but I was a security manager working in the shelter environment. So I say all of that to say that as working in that environment and seeing what happens when you're not responsible, where you can end up, it kind of gave me the impetus and the motivation to make sure that I remain gainfully employed. You know.
The hardest part of being a father for me today is just showing up, man. I uh, I think it's a blessing and a test at the same time, having multiple children, because there's just so much going on all the time, and I cannot be everywhere to experience the nuances of their lives and the celebration of their wins, and the shoulder for their losses, and just being able to show up. The hardest part of being a dad right now for me is just showing up, and not that they have any expectation other than he showed up. That's a hard one for me right now.
So the hardest part for me is when your children demonstrate disappointment, you know you've bust your behind to do everything that you can. You defined yourself by the role of fatherhood. You've done everything that you could. They are successful, but when they see you through the lens of you didn't do, I'm disappointed about, and that will define the relationship temporarily. I used to have a saying that I would not want to live if my children had the interaction, if they were strained from me as we all were from my father at one time. He's eventually been able to work that through. I find that I don't have the relationship with one of my children that I would like to have at this particular time. And it's not because of a lack of effort. And it's not like because I didn't sow. It's just for whatever reason, he feels I came up short in a particular area. And as a result, that he doesn't want to talk about, but as a result, he has kept me at arm's distance.
Mm.
For somebody who's defined themselves as by fatherhood, that's a very difficult thing to navigate. I was because the only thing I could do at this particular time is be consistent, be present, and when he's ready to talk, pray that when that he will want to talk at some point and we can navigate through that. But I'm going to be honest with you. I wish he was 16 because I could just say, "What the f is the matter with you?" I can't do that, you know. But adult children sometimes could be difficult, and that's my truth right
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you. I
now. All
appreciate
right.
that.
Yeah, I didn't know I was going to be sharing that. To be honest with you.
That's a good thing.
How? Okay. The Mahadi's question is how are black fathers looked at and pleaser? How are black fathers looked at as a provider, protector, and a pleaser? Mahadi, you want to kick that off?
Yeah. I think the expectations today as a, as being a black father, they still have the responsibility to, you know, make an income, build a family, have a home, take care of, being able to buy toilet paper, being able basic stuff. You have a responsibility as a black father to be there and to protect them because there are obvious obstacles out here for our children, our wives, ourselves, and we have to be able to protect ourselves. You mentioned George Floyd. You mentioned, all these different situations. I mean, like just recently, this Asian guy shot this 14-year-old kid in the back, and there's no consequence to it, and it does something to a father. I can't even imagine what that father is feeling that he could not protect his 14-year-old son for going into a bodega and having
Mm-hmm.
water that he did not steal and losing his son
Mm-hmm.
to it. Go to a criminal court and have this person who implemented this pain to the family just walk away. And you have no recourse now. That is as a father, as a black father, I have an innate desire to protect my family. And when
Absolutely.
that's given up to others to protect, it messes with the psyche. And when it comes to the
Mm-hmm.
pleasure, I mean, like we have wives, you have to be able to, I don't care if you've been married 30, 40, 50 years, 60 years, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, the pleasure has to be there. We have to always keep it fresh, keep it respectful, and it is so loose out here. It's so loose out here for men because women are so available to us. I encourage my sons to always, I always talk to them and I talk to myself to protect my meat, my money, my energy, my attention, and my time. That acronym, MEAT, my money, I don't just give it away to just any old situation. My energy, I'm not that guy anymore. Never was. My attention and my time. It's just that pleasure. It's exclusive. And I have to put that where it's supposed to be, and that's with my wife, and it's
Mhm.
just we for as a black father, I think people are not looking at black fathers with that lens like that. I don't know. That's just my perspective. I mean, you brothers might have a different, you know, take on it.
Well,
You
I
want to give that
can't.
a shot, Daniel?
Sure, I'll give it a shot. It's a complicated question. I cannot subjectively
Mhm.
or objectively answer that question. I think how are black fathers looked at as providers, protectors, and pleasers? That's a question looked at by who?
Yeah.
Who's
Well,
asking that question?
I
You know,
mean, in certain cases, it could be our mates.
then
It could
they,
be our wives.
I mean, then I would have to have that person in front of me asking that. It's kind of because I know that I'm a provider. I know that I'm a protector. And when it comes to the pleasing part, that might be a little bit more, subjective than objective. You may think you're pleasing, you know. So and so that question, the last part of it, because there's like three questions in the question. Are you providing, are you protecting, are you pleasing? You kind of group them all together and turned it into one question. But
Yeah,
yeah.
because we're fathers, and
Right.
that's we stepped in. We didn't even ask for that. All that what comes with being a father. We never
Hmm.
asked for that. It wasn't the expectation of what all it involved. We didn't know what that was. At least I didn't know what it involved. But it involves each and every single one of those things. And then when other people are looking at us and in their putting on, when I say they, let's just say a society
All
is
right, but
looking upon a black man, a black
mhm,
father.
mhm.
Let's look at it from that perspective.
Yeah, no, no one. Again, the first two parts of the question can be answered, subjectively, depending on the individual, or objectively, depending on it. But the last part, that no one else can say, outside of the relationship, you're not pleasing your mate. So but the first two parts of it, society, how does society see black people? Do society see black people as being providers and protectors? I don't have the statistics to say, what percentage of black families are a two family unit. I don't have those numbers in front of me. You know, uh, because the first part of that question would possibly answer the second part. If you're providing, then you might be protecting if you're providing, right? If you're doing good, providing them with a stable home, the resources, the food on the table, you're living in a good community, your children are not in the streets, and so forth and so on. I would love to see the statistics of how many black households where you have a two-parent household and children are doing well. In the 60s, 70s, and the 80s, and even up to the 90s, it was a negative stigma associated with the black family, and it had a lot to do that the black man was not present. It had a lot. I don't know what those numbers are today.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm going to be honest with you. I see the question. Um, I've been in therapy the last I'm 62. I've been in therapy for over 30 years of my life. And I've gotten to the place where I can give a flying F how others see. I can't say I've always felt that way. Um, so when I look at this question, I look at it through the lens of how do I see myself
Right.
as a provider, protector, and a pleaser?
Right.
And secondary, since it's a father, how do my children see me
Right. Right.
in that regard?
Right.
Everybody else, I don't give a flying F. I already take the perspective. They don't see me very well in this.
Right.
When have I ever been seen very well, or
Yeah.
any of us?
Right.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
that comes with the territory. So I don't care about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Me
I agree.
personally,
I agree.
I'm not perfect,
Yes.
but I've strived to be a provider.
That's it.
I was. I'm not even gonna say I was a provider. I did protect
Mhm.
and I did please. Did I come up short as far as my kids are short? Yeah. If you sit them down, they're gonna tell you where I came up short in those areas. But the sum total of the work,
Right. Right.
not perfect, but it was
You
effective.
made
Yeah.
progress, man.
So the only person I care about is how Ed Murray sees Ed Murray as it
Okay.
relates to this.
Okay.
That's it.
Secondary, my kids.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Everybody else, who gives a flying F?
I know that's right. I
Exactly.
know that's right.
What a good question. Yeah. So, all right. So we're wrapping up, brothers. It's this and I thought it was stimulating the last time. I think the conversation is stimulating today, even though we lost two people along the way, but even with their contributions, I'm to wrap it up. Okay, I'm just seeing, based on everything that we shared today, can you put in one sentence what does fatherhood feel like to you right now? Can you put that in one sentence?
Jesus Christ. Put that
Based
in
on
one
everything we shared today,
sentence.
what does fatherhood feel like to you right now? Basically, she's saying make it brief. That's
Yeah,
basically what
yeah,
she's saying.
I'll try. It can be both challenging and
Yeah.
rewarding, but it requires discipline, dedication, and a great deal of emotional intelligence. Period. That's my sentence.
Okay. Okay.
My one sentence
What does
would be
fatherhood feel like you today?
today fatherhood today feels like me just showing up as a dad. Just show up. Their expectations of what they expect and all that kind of stuff. I'm past all that. All I got to do is show up. I don't even got to say anything because I've already said it. They see it. They know what it is. They know what time it is. They just want to see me show up. To look over and see, oh, there he is. Okay, cool. Because I tell you, man, I rubbed the pencil all the way, man. I put that eraser all the way down to the metal. You know what I'm saying? I gave it all, and I give it all every time. If they come to me, if I show up and they come to me, I'm there. But I ain't out there to prove nothing to nobody no more. I'm done.
There you go.
I'm done.
There you go.
I'm done.
So for me, I'm going to borrow for something you said, Mahdi, a little earlier. In one sentence, it means listening, and then, when possible, guide. That's what it looks like to me. The last question for everybody is: what are your thoughts on participating in this fatherhood discussion?
I think it's beneficial, man. I'll be totally honest with you because there's not only a opportunity to sit with intelligent men of courage, because it takes courage to sit here and go back and reflect on things that got us to where we are right now. So I enjoy and I commend and I'm proud to be considered amongst the men and the fathers that sit before me, and I respect every single one of us, and I just encourage us to continue, man, helping each other, lifting each other up, ain't no big eyes and little U's, ain't no right way of doing this thing, ain't no blueprint. We are the blueprint, you know what I'm saying? And I just I applaud each and every single one of you guys, man, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you because you show up. That's it.
No, thank you,
What
man.
about
And
you, Daniel?
I agree with everything you just stated. I mean, this has been, for lack of a better term, this has been therapeutic, man. You get to go back and reflect on some things
Mhm,
that
mhm,
you've been holding on
mhm,
to, and it gives you the appropriate forum to have this discussion, in a way that is helpful and not
mhm,
harmful.
Mhm.
And it's all designed to make you a better person, i.e. a better father, but most importantly, a
mhm,
better person. A good father is a good person, because those same parenting skills that you use to raise your family and interact with your sons and daughters, those are the same interpersonal social skills that you can use in the broader societal sense, whether you're on the job, in the supermarket, on the train, to your point, Mahdi,
mhm.
listening skills, effective communication skills. You got to have those skills when trying to be a good parent. And I haven't always been an effective communicator. And working in the field of human services, that is an absolute must in terms of a skill. You got to be an effective communicator, because people that we're dealing with, they're hurting, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you know
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I thought this was very stimulating, not because of the topic or the questions; those are all added, but it's really because of the participants. I don't know how often, Daniel. I've been on a couple of game lives or whatever. Like I've had some limited interaction with you. The other two gentlemen, I went to college with them. Mahdi, I don't know if our paths would have crossed had it not been for this, but it's just different men coming from having like experiences, and just the discourse back and forth for me has made this extremely. We've been on for 2.5 hours. I don't care, because I just found it really stimulating, the discourse back and forth.
Yeah.
Not identical, but like experiences, and so that made it, participating in this made it very fruitful to me.
No, I agree.
So
I
the
think
last thing on my
Okay, sorry.
go, I'm sorry, did I,
No, I
did
was,
I
I was just going to
stop
say
somebody from saying anything?
that the thing that we have in common, right, is interesting. We're black men in America. You know, our journey
Hmm.
is somewhat similar, but uniquely different in many
Yeah.
regards. What I'm saying? We can
Yes.
identify, but we
Yes.
all had a unique experience on that same road. And it's
Yeah.
kind of fascinating.
Right.
Yeah. I agree. I agree, man. And like I said, I I appreciate you. I appreciate the opportunity to even be invited, in the discussion, because it gives me an opportunity to listen. And I learned what it is to have to, be subjected in a house where there's not a father. I get a chance to feel that and feel the passion behind it and see someone grow, actually physically grow through it, and to look at them and appreciate it didn't kill you, but it made you stand up as a strong man, a strong father, a strong black individual, and that is commendable. To have loss of a single dad. I never even heard of a single dad like that to be able to have a communication with, to even to relate to that. So it gives me a perspective, a viewpoint that I may have never ever have received in such an intimate environment, so that we have an opportunity to build and benefit from unfortunate things that may have happened to each and every single one of us, but we are able to benefit from that. And it's not exhausting. I see, like you said, it's 2.5 hours, but it wasn't exhausting. It wasn't taxing. It wasn't
Right.
emotionally draining
Right.
on me. You know what I'm saying? I was able to benefit from listening to each and every, and I look forward to hearing the responses from each and every single one of you, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna learn from it. I'm gonna, what I'm saying? It's gonna make me feel, it made me a better individual, you know, and it didn't cost me anything. You know, it's just some
The
time.
price was right.
Yeah, yeah. It was just some time. You know, I gave up some time, but in it was time well worth it. Time well worth spent. You know, and I appreciate that. So I thank all the people that's in the front and the
All
people
right.
who are
Well,
in the background, you know, who are putting this together. You know, I appreciate them, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless and forgive every single one of us, man, for our shortcomings, and you know, give us good in this life and in the hereafter. Inshallah.
I received that. Well, gentlemen, thank you again for your participation. Conversation couldn't have happened without your valuable input. And with that, we're going to say good night to everybody.
Good night, man. Peace and blessings.
Good night, folks. Take care.
This conversation wasn't about being the perfect father because he doesn't exist. It was about how fathers see themselves and their interaction with their children. It was about what fatherhood really required and what it has looked and felt like behind the doors of fatherhood. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, fathers, for sharing your experiences and your thoughts. Now it's our turn. Let's support our fathers. Visit their links in the description and support their businesses. If this conversation offered a thought, a feeling, a moment of clarity, or reflection, leave a comment below. And let's stay connected. Like, follow, or subscribe so future reflections can reach you when they arrive. Thank you again for tuning in to Words on a Higher Note, where reflection meets elevation, where grace meets growth, where personal evolution is not rushed, but embraced, honored, and celebrated. Until next time, keep listening for the higher note. Say, be, and it is.